Jake Morrison stood at attention near the entrance of the grand hall. His uniform was crisp and clean, his posture straight. He had been a Marine for 10 years before becoming a security officer for Earth's diplomatic team. Now he watched over politicians and ambassadors instead of fighting on battlefields. The space station, called Zenith Point, was massive. It floated between star systems belonging to no one. Every year, hundreds of alien species came here to renew their peace treaty. This year was special. It was only Earth's 5th time attending. Jake looked around the enormous banquet hall. Aliens of every shape and size filled the room. Some had scales, others had fur. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or 6. There were beings made of light and beings that looked like living rocks. The smell was strange, a mix of 1,000 different worlds. "Stay alert," Captain Linda Hayes said through his earpiece. She was his commander, a smart woman who had served Earth for 20 years. "We're the new kids here. Everyone is watching us." Jake nodded slightly. He knew she was right. Most of these aliens looked at humans like they were children. Earth had only discovered faster-than-light travel 5 years ago. Some of these species had been exploring space for thousands of years. Near the center of the hall, Jake spotted the Velkari delegation. They were impossible to miss. The Velkari were tall and elegant, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow softly. Their eyes were large and silver. They moved with grace and pride. Their empire controlled hundreds of star systems. They were one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. At the front of their group stood Princess Liara. She wore robes that shimmered like starlight. Her long white hair flowed down her back. She looked beautiful and cold at the same time. She barely glanced at the other species around her. To her, most of them were beneath her notice. Jake had read the briefing files. The Velkari believed in strength and power above all else. They respected military might and long life. Humans, who lived maybe 100 years, seemed like insects to them. The Velkari could live for 500 years. The ceremony began. Ambassador Peter Grant gave a speech about peace and cooperation. Jake only half listened. His job was to watch for threats, not to care about politics. Then it happened. The lights went out. Emergency alarms screamed through the hall. Jake's training kicked in immediately. He pulled out his weapon and activated his night vision. Around him, aliens panicked and scattered. "Terrorist attack!" someone shouted. "The Krell are here!" Jake's blood ran cold. The Krell were a radical faction that hated the peace treaty. They believed in war and conquest. They had been quiet for years, but now they were making their move. Explosions rocked the hall. Jake saw figures in dark armor moving through the crowd. They were shooting at the delegations. People screamed. Bodies fell. "Protect the ambassador!" Captain Hayes shouted. Jake moved toward Ambassador Grant, but something caught his eye. 3 Krell soldiers were moving toward Princess Liara. Her guards were already down, lying in pools of their own blood. The princess stood alone, her silver eyes wide with shock. Jake made a choice. He ran toward her instead. "Get down!" he yelled. The princess turned to look at him. She seemed confused. Why was this human running at her? Jake reached her just as the Krell fired. He grabbed her and pulled her behind a pillar. Energy blasts hit the stone where she had been standing. "Stay behind me," Jake said. "I don't take orders from humans," Princess Liara said coldly. "You do if you want to live," Jake shot back. He leaned out and fired at the Krell soldiers. His shots were accurate. 2 of them went down. The 3rd one fired back. Jake felt burning pain in his shoulder and side. He had been hit, but he didn't fall. He couldn't fall. Not yet. He fired again and again. The last Krell soldier dropped. Jake's vision was getting blurry. He looked down and saw blood spreading across his uniform. The energy blasts had burned through his armor. "You're injured," Princess Liara said. Her voice had changed. She sounded almost concerned. "I'm fine," Jake lied. He tried to stand up straight, but his legs wouldn't work right. Security forces were flooding into the hall now. The attack was over. The Krell had been stopped, but many people were dead or wounded. Jake felt his knees buckle. He started to fall. Strong arms caught him. He looked up and saw Princess Liara holding him. Her silver eyes were staring at him with an expression he couldn't read. "Why?" she asked quietly. "Why did you save me?" Jake smiled weakly. "It's my job. I am not your responsibility. Your ambassador is." "You needed help," Jake said. His voice was getting weaker. "That's enough." The princess looked at him like he was speaking a foreign language. In her world, people didn't risk their lives for strangers. They didn't sacrifice themselves for someone from another species. They definitely didn't do it just because someone needed help. "You're dying to save me," she whispered. "A human is dying to save me." "Not planning to die," Jake managed to say. "Just doing the right thing." Medical teams arrived. They pulled Jake away from the princess. He heard someone shouting for a doctor. Everything was getting dark and fuzzy. The last thing he saw before he passed out was Princess Liara's face. She was still staring at him with that strange expression. Later, Jake would learn that his actions had shocked the entire Velkari delegation. A human, a member of a species they considered primitive and short-lived, had thrown himself in front of death to save their princess. He had asked for nothing in return. He had simply done it because it was right. In the medical bay, as doctors worked to save his life, Princess Liara stood outside the window. She watched the human who had saved her. Her mind was full of questions she had never asked before. What kind of species valued a stranger's life over their own? What kind of warrior fought not for glory or reward, but simply because someone needed help? What kind of people were these humans? For the first time in her long life, Princess Liara realized she might have been wrong about something. Maybe humans weren't as primitive as she thought. Maybe they had something her own people had lost a long time ago. Maybe they had heart. Jake woke up 3 days later. His body ached, but he was alive. The medical bay was quiet and clean. Machines beeped softly around him. He tried to sit up and winced at the pain in his shoulder. "Easy there," a nurse said. She was human, which made Jake feel a little better. "You took some serious hits. The doctors had to rebuild half your shoulder." "The princess?" Jake asked. "She's fine, thanks to you." The nurse smiled. "You're a hero. Everyone's talking about what you did." Jake didn't feel like a hero. He felt tired and sore. "Just doing my job." The nurse shook her head. "Not according to the Velkari. They've been here every day waiting for you to wake up." Before Jake could ask what she meant, the door opened. Captain Linda Hayes walked in, and she didn't look happy. "Jake," she said, sitting down next to his bed, "we need to talk." "Did I do something wrong?" "No. You did something that's going to change your entire life." Linda took a deep breath. "The Velkari have invoked an ancient law. It's called the Shield Partner Bond." Jake frowned. "What's that?" "When someone saves a Velkari royal's life in combat, they become bound to that royal for life. You become their partner, their protector, their equal in status. It's a very old law. It hasn't been used in 600 years. Jake felt his stomach drop. "What does that mean exactly?" "It means Princess Liara is claiming you as her shield partner. You would leave Earth's service and join hers. You would share her rank, her wealth, and her political power. You would live on the Velkari homeworld. You would be one of the most important humans in the galaxy." Jake stared at her. "I don't want to be important. I want to go home." Linda looked surprised. "Jake, do you understand what this means? The Velkari are offering you a position most people would kill for. You would have influence over one of the most powerful empires in existence. I have a sister on Earth. I have friends. I have a life." "You also don't have a choice. a new voice said. Both Jake and Linda turned. An older Velkari woman had entered the room. She was even more beautiful than Princess Liara, but there was steel in her silver eyes. She wore a crown that seemed to be made of pure light. "Empress Vara," Linda said, standing quickly and bowing. The Empress of the Velkari Empire looked at Jake. "The human is awake. Good." "Your Majesty," Linda began, "perhaps we could discuss this." "There is nothing to discuss," the Empress said calmly. "The law is clear. This human saved my daughter's life in combat. He is now her shield partner. The bond is already formed." "But I didn't know about any law," Jake protested. "Ignorance does not matter. You acted. You saved her. The bond exists." The Empress studied him carefully. "Most beings would be grateful for this honor. You will have wealth beyond measure, power, respect. You will live longer, as our medical technology will extend your lifespan. Why do you hesitate?" "Because I didn't do it for any of that," Jake said. "I did it because it was the right thing to do." The Empress blinked slowly. "You truly believe that?" "Yes." "How strange," she said softly. "How very strange." She turned to leave. "My daughter will visit you soon. You will give her your answer then." After she left, Linda sat back down. "Jake, you need to think about this carefully. I don't want to leave Earth." "I know, but refusing the Empress could cause a diplomatic crisis. This is bigger than just you now." Jake closed his eyes. This wasn't fair. He had just tried to help someone, and now his whole life was being turned upside down. That evening, Princess Liara came to see him. She came alone, without guards or servants. She stood at the end of his bed and looked at him with those strange silver eyes. "You may sit if you want," Jake said. She sat, but her posture was stiff and formal. "I came to explain the shield partner bond." "Your mother already did that." "She explained the law. I will explain what it means." Liara folded her hands. "As my shield partner, you would be my equal in all things. You would advise me, protect me, and stand at my side. In return, you would share everything I have. Money, power, status. You would want for nothing." "What if I don't want money or power?" Liara looked genuinely confused. "Everyone wants those things." "Not everyone." "Then what do you want?" Jake thought about it. "I want to go home. I want to have dinner with my sister. I want to walk in the rain. I want normal things." "Those are simple pleasures. I offer you the galaxy." "I don't need the galaxy. I just need a life that's mine." Princess Liara was quiet for a long moment. "You truly do not want this honor?" "No offense, but no, I don't." The alien princess blinked in surprise. "You're refusing me? You're taking me as your partner, human?" "I'm not taking anything," Jake said gently. "I saved your life because you needed help. I didn't do it for a reward." "I didn't even know about this law. I just did what felt right." Liara stood up abruptly. "This is impossible. No one refuses a bond with Velkari royalty. No one." "I'm not refusing you personally. I'm just saying I don't want to leave my home." "Your home? A primitive planet barely out of its own solar system?" Jake felt a flash of anger. "It's my primitive planet. It's where my family lives. It's where I belong." "You belong nowhere now," Liara said, and there was something almost sad in her voice. "The bond is formed. You cannot break it. You can only accept it or reject it. If you reject it, you dishonor my family. If you dishonor my family, Earth loses the Velkari as allies. So I have no choice. We always have choices, but every choice has consequences." Jake rubbed his face. "Can I have some time to think about it?" Liara looked at him like he was speaking another language again. "Time to think about becoming one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy? What is there to think about?" "Everything," Jake said quietly. The princess was silent. Then she said something that surprised him. "You are very different from what I expected." "What did you expect?" "I expected you to demand payment, to ask for rewards, to use this situation to gain advantage for your species." She tilted her head. "Instead, you want to go home." "Is that so strange?" "To me?" "Yes." "To the Velkari?" "Completely." She moved toward the door. "I will give you time, human, but not much. My mother's patience is limited." "Thank you." Liara paused at the door. "Why did you really save me?" Jake met her eyes. "Because you're a person, and you needed help. That's all." "That's all," she repeated softly. She left without another word. Jake lay back in bed and stared at the ceiling. His simple life had just become very complicated. He had saved someone's life and somehow ended up bound to an alien princess. He didn't want power or wealth. He didn't want to be important. He just wanted to go home. But as he thought about Princess Liara's silver eyes and the confusion in her voice, he wondered if maybe there was more to this than he understood. Maybe this was about more than just him. Maybe this was a chance to show the galaxy what humans really were. Or maybe he was just trying to make sense of an impossible situation. Either way, he had a choice to make, and it was going to change everything. Jake made a decision that shocked everyone. He would only accept the shield partner bond if Princess Liara visited Earth first. He wanted her to understand what she was asking him to leave behind. "This is highly unusual," Empress Vara said when he made his request. "So is binding someone without their full consent," Jake replied. The Empress studied him for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she smiled. "You have courage, human. Very well. My daughter will visit your world." Princess Liara was not happy about it. "I am lowering myself to visit a primitive planet?" she said to Jake. "This is insulting." "Then don't come," Jake said calmly. "Refuse the bond. Let me go home." Liara's eyes flashed with anger. But there was something else there, too. Pride. She would not back down from a challenge. "Fine. I will visit your Earth. I will see what is so special about it." 3 days later, Jake stood on the landing pad at New Boston Colony. His shoulder still ached, but he could move it now. Next to him stood his sister, Amy Morrison. She was 25, an engineer, and completely unimpressed by alien royalty. "So this princess thinks she owns you now?" Amy asked. "It's complicated." "Sounds stupid to me." Jake smiled. "That's why I wanted you here, to keep things real." A Velkari ship descended from the sky. It was beautiful, all smooth curves and glowing lights. The door opened, and Princess Liara stepped out. She wore simpler clothes today, but she still looked like she belonged in a palace, not on a human colony world. She looked around at the modest buildings and the people going about their daily lives. Her expression was neutral. But Jake could see the disappointment in her eyes. "Welcome to Earth," Jake said, "or at least to one of our colonies." "It's very small," Liara said. "Everything's small compared to an empire," Amy said. "You must be the princess." "I'm Amy, Jake's sister." Liara looked at Amy with surprise. "You address me without a title? Should I? You're not my princess." Amy smiled. "No offense, but I don't bow to anyone." For a moment, Jake thought Liara would be angry. Instead, she laughed. It was a small laugh, but genuine. "You humans are strange." "You have no idea," Amy said. Over the next few days, Jake showed Princess Liara his world. He took her to a small cafe where people gathered to drink coffee and talk. She was amazed that everyone treated her like a normal person. "Do they not know who I am?" she asked. "They know," Jake said. "They just don't care that much. Here, you're just another person." "I am not just another person." "Maybe that's the problem," Amy said, joining them with 3 cups of coffee. "Maybe being special all the time is lonely." Liara was quiet. She sipped her coffee and watched the humans around her. They laughed together. They argued about small things. They lived their simple lives without thinking about power or status. "They seem happy," Liara said softly. "Most of them are," Jake agreed. That evening, Jake took her to a memorial park. It was a quiet place with trees and a wall covered in names. These were the humans who had died in the early days of space exploration. Soldiers, scientists, explorers. All of them had given their lives so humanity could reach the stars. "We remember them," Jake said, touching one of the names on the wall. "We don't forget the people who sacrificed for us." "The Velkari also honor our dead warriors," Liara said. "But do you mourn them?" Jake asked. "Do you miss them?" Liara didn't answer right away. In Velkari culture, death in battle was glorious. You didn't mourn the fallen. You celebrated their strength. But looking at Jake's face, she saw real sadness there. Real loss. "You lost someone," she said quietly. "My parents. They were on a colony ship that got attacked by raiders. I was 18. Jake touched another name on the wall. "This was my friend Ben's father. He died saving the colony from a reactor meltdown. Ben still visits this wall every week." "Why?" "The dead cannot hear him." "No, but it helps him remember. It helps him feel connected." Jake looked at her. "That's what you don't understand about humans. We're not just individuals. We're connected to each other. We carry our dead with us. We carry our families, our friends, our history. That's what makes us strong." Liara was silent. She had never thought about it that way. In Velkari culture, you stood alone. You were strong because you needed no one. But watching Jake at this memorial, she saw a different kind of strength. The next day, Amy took them to her engineering lab. She was working on a new type of engine with a team of other humans. They argued and joked and worked together seamlessly. "We all have different ideas," Amy explained to Liara. "But we make them work together. Nobody's idea is perfect alone. But together, we create something amazing." "The Velkari do not work this way," Liara said. "The strongest idea wins. The others are discarded." "Then you miss out on a lot of good ideas," Amy said. That night, Jake and Liara sat on the roof of his apartment building. The city lights spread out below them. Above, the stars shone bright. "Your world is very different from mine," Liara said. "Is that bad?" "I don't know yet." She was quiet for a moment. "In my empire, everyone competes. Everyone wants to be on top. It is exhausting. Here, people just want to live their lives," Jake said. "Be with people they care about. Do work that matters to them." "You truly don't want power?" "I want to matter to the people I love. That's enough." Liara looked at him. In the starlight, his face was gentle and honest. "I have never met anyone like you. I'm just a regular person." "No," she said, "you are not. A regular person would have let me die. A regular person would have taken my offer immediately. A regular person would want the galaxy." She smiled sadly. "You are extraordinary, and you don't even know it." Jake felt his face get warm. "I'm really not. You saved my life asking nothing in return. You refused power because you value home more. You mourn strangers and honor the dead. You work together instead of competing." Liara stood up. "I came here thinking I would see a primitive world. Instead, I see something my people lost long ago." "What's that?" "Heart. Connection. The understanding that being strong alone is not the same as being truly strong." "So, you understand why I hesitated?" "I do." Liara looked out at the city. "I also understand something else. If I force you to leave this, I take away what makes you who you are. And who you are is why you saved me. Does that mean you're releasing me from the bond?" "No," Liara said, and there was something new in her voice. something vulnerable. It means I am asking you, truly asking, if you would consider being my partner, not because of law, not because of duty, but because—" She paused, struggling with the words. "Because I think we could learn from each other." Jake stood up. "Partners? Real partners? Equals?" "Yes." "And I could still visit Earth? Still see my family?" "Yes." "And you would try to understand humans better, not just think of us as primitive?" Liara smiled. "I already see you differently. Your entire species saved my life that day, not just you. The values you carry, the heart you showed, that comes from your people. How can I call that primitive?" Jake thought about it. He looked out at his city, his home. Then he looked at Liara. She was trying, really trying, to understand. And maybe that was enough. "Okay," he said. "I'll be your partner. But we do this my way. We're equals. You don't give me orders, and I don't give you orders. We decide things together." The alien princess blinked in surprise. Then she held out her hand, copying a human gesture she had learned. "Equals," she agreed. Jake shook her hand. Her skin was cool and smooth, different from human skin, but her grip was firm. "This is going to be interesting," he said. "Yes," Liara agreed. "I believe it will." Neither of them knew that within weeks they would be tested in ways they couldn't imagine. War was coming, and their new partnership would be all that stood between the galaxy and chaos. The war started 2 weeks after Jake agreed to become Princess Liara's shield partner. The Krell launched massive attacks on the borders of both Velkari and human space. Their fleets were huge, and they were angry. Jake stood on the bridge of the Velkari warship Starlight Blade. He wore armor that combined human and Velkari technology. Next to him, Princess Liara studied the tactical display. Her face was calm, but Jake could see the tension in her shoulders. "They're hitting 12 systems at once," Admiral Theron said. He was an old Velkari warrior with scars across his blue skin. "We don't have enough ships to defend them all." "Then we need to be smart," Jake said. The Admiral looked at him with barely hidden contempt. "And what would a human know about fleet tactics?" "Admiral," Liara said quietly, and there was steel in her voice. "Jake is my shield partner. You will treat him with respect." The Admiral bowed his head, but Jake could see he wasn't happy about it. "Show me the attack pattern," Jake said, ignoring the tension. The display lit up, showing the Krell fleet movements. Jake studied it carefully. He had learned a lot about space combat in the past 2 weeks, but he was still thinking like a human, like a Marine. "They're following a standard pattern," Jake said. "Overwhelming force, straight at the targets." "That is how wars are won," Admiral Theron said. "Superior force." "Maybe," Jake said, "but it's also predictable." He pointed at the display. "They're spreading out to hit multiple targets. That means their supply lines are stretched thin." "So?" the Admiral asked. "So we don't fight them where they're strong. We hit their supply lines, cut off their fuel and ammunition, force them to retreat." Admiral Theron laughed. "That is cowards fighting. Velkari face their enemies directly." "Dead Velkari face their enemies directly," Jake said. "Smart Velkari win." The Admiral's hand went to his weapon. Liara stepped between them. "Enough. Jake, explain your plan fully." Over the next hour, Jake laid out a strategy that shocked everyone on the bridge. Instead of meeting the Krell fleets head-on, they would use small, fast ships to raid supply convoys. Human pilots, who were known for crazy flying, would lead the attacks. The Krell would have to pull back forces to protect their supply lines, weakening their main assault. "This is not honorable combat," Admiral Theron protested. "It's smart combat," Liara said. She looked at Jake with something like pride. "We will try his plan." General Kyle Ross, the human military commander, loved the idea. "Finally, someone speaking my language," he said through the video link. "We've been wanting to show these Krell what human pilots can do." The first raids happened 2 days later. Human fighters, small and quick, attacked Krell supply ships far behind enemy lines. The Krell were caught completely off guard. They were used to fighting in organized battles, not dealing with hit-and-run attacks. Jake flew in one of the raids himself. Liara had tried to stop him. "You are my shield partner, not a common soldier," she said. "I'm a Marine," Jake replied. "I don't send people into danger I won't face myself." Liara had stared at him. Then she put on her own armor. "Then I'm coming too." "You're a princess." "And you are my partner. We face danger together, remember? Equals?" So they flew together. Jake piloted the small fighter while Liara handled weapons. They worked together surprisingly well. Jake's instincts and quick reactions, combined with Liara's precise targeting, made them a deadly team. They hit a Krell fuel convoy and destroyed half of it before the enemy could respond. On the way back, they were chased by Krell fighters. "3 on our tail," Liara said calmly. "I see them." Jake threw the fighter into a spin that would have made any Velkari pilot sick. Human bodies could handle more extreme movements. "Can you get a shot?" "Hold steady for 2 seconds." 2 seconds. "Got it." Jake leveled out. Energy blasts flew past them. Liara fired, and one of the Krell fighters exploded. Jake immediately dove down and rolled left. More blasts missed them by inches. "You're insane," Liara said, but she was smiling. "I'm human," Jake laughed. He pulled a move that shouldn't have been possible, putting them behind the other 2 Krell fighters. Liara destroyed both of them. When they landed back on the Starlight Blade, the whole crew was talking about the crazy flying they had witnessed. Even Admiral Theron looked impressed, though he tried to hide it. Over the next weeks, the raids continued. The Krell were forced to pull back forces to protect their supply lines, exactly as Jake had predicted. The main assaults weakened. Planets that would have fallen were saved. But the Krell adapted. They started hunting for Jake and Liara specifically. They had learned that the human and the princess were leading the raids. "They see you as a symbol," Captain Linda Hayes told Jake during a strategy meeting. "A human and a Velkari working together. It scares them. If you can work together, maybe other species will too." "Good," Jake said. "Let them be scared." The real test came at the Battle of Haven's Gate. It was a crucial jump point that connected dozens of systems. If the Krell took it, they could attack deep into both human and Velkari space. Jake and Liara led a combined human-Velkari fleet to defend it. It was the first time the 2 species had truly fought side by side. "This is strange," Admiral Theron admitted to Jake before the battle. "Fighting alongside humans." "Get used to it," Jake said. "We're stronger together." The battle was brutal. The Krell came with everything they had. Hundreds of ships filled the space around Haven's Gate. Energy weapons lit up the darkness. Ships exploded and died. Jake commanded the human fighters, while Liara coordinated the Velkari capital ships. They talked constantly, sharing information, adjusting tactics on the fly. "Krell heavy cruiser moving toward your left flank," Jake reported. "I see it. Human fighters, can you distract it?" Liara asked. "Already on it," Jake said. He led a squadron of human pilots in a daring attack on the massive Krell ship. They were like insects, stinging a giant, but they drew its attention. The Velkari battleship had time to position itself and destroy the cruiser with a single massive blast. "Good kill," Jake said. "Excellent distraction," Liara replied. The battle raged for hours. Both sides took heavy losses, but slowly, the combined human-Velkari force started winning. The Krell hadn't expected such coordination. They were used to fighting species that didn't trust each other. Jake spotted the enemy command ship. It was a massive vessel, heavily armed and armored. "That's their leader's ship. If we take it out, they might retreat." "It's too well defended," Admiral Theron said. "Not if we're creative." Jake outlined another crazy plan. Human bombers would create a distraction while Valkyrie ships positioned for a kill shot. It required perfect timing and complete trust. "It's suicide," the Admiral said. "It's war," Jake replied. Liara looked at him. "I trust you." Those 3 words meant everything. Jake smiled. "Then let's do this." The plan worked perfectly. The human bombers flew straight at the command ship, drawing all its defensive fire. The Krell thought the humans were making a suicide run. They focused everything on stopping them. Meanwhile, 3 Valkyrie battleships came at the command ship from below, where its weapons were weakest. They fired together, and their combined blast tore through the command ship's shields and hull. The massive vessel exploded in a ball of fire. The Krell fleet panicked. Without their leader, they broke formation and retreated. Haven's Gate was saved. On the bridge of the Starlight Blade, everyone was cheering. Humans and Valkyrie celebrated together. Admiral Theron approached Jake and did something no one expected. He bowed. "You have proven yourself, human. You fight with honor and intelligence." Jake bowed back. "You fight with courage and strength, Admiral." Liara watched them with bright eyes. Later, when they were alone, she took Jake's hand. "We did it," she said. "We did," Jake agreed. "Together. My people are talking about you. They're calling you the human who thinks like 10 warriors." Jake laughed. "That's a terrible name?" "It's a great compliment." Liara squeezed his hand. "You've changed how they see humans, how they see everything." "We changed it together," Jake said. Liara looked at him for a long moment. Then she did something that surprised him. She kissed him. It was gentle and uncertain, but real. When she pulled back, her blue cheeks had darkened with what Jake realized was a blush. "I did not plan that," she said. "I'm not complaining," Jake said softly. "This is complicated." "Everything about us is complicated." Liara smiled. "Yes, but I find I don't mind." The war wasn't over. The Krell would attack again. But something had changed. Humans and Valkyrie had proven they could fight together. More than that, Jake and Liara had proven that 2 very different people could become something more than just partners. They had become friends, maybe even something more. The Krell made their final desperate move 3 months later. They attacked Sanctuary Station, a massive space station that protected dozens of civilian worlds. If it fell, millions of innocent people would be in danger. Jake stood on the bridge of the Starlight Blade, watching the enemy fleet approach. There were hundreds of Krell ships. It was the largest force they had ever assembled. "We're outnumbered 3-1, Admiral Theron said quietly. "Then we need to be 3 times smarter," Jake replied. Next to him, Princess Liara was coordinating the defense. Ships from a dozen different species had come to help. The cooperation between humans and Valkyrie had inspired others. The galaxy was starting to understand that working together made everyone stronger. "Human fleet is in position," General Kyle Ross reported. "Ready when you are." "Valkyrie heavy ships are ready," Admiral Theron added. "Begin evacuation of the civilian sectors," Jake ordered. "Get as many people off the station as possible." "That will take time," Liara said. "The Krell won't wait." "Then we buy them time." The battle began. The Krell came in waves, trying to overwhelm the defenders through sheer numbers. But the combined fleet was ready. Human fighters darted between the enemy ships like angry bees. Valkyrie battleships formed a solid defensive wall. Other species contributed what they could. Jake coordinated it all, his mind working like a machine. He had learned so much in the past months. Liara helped him, her tactical knowledge and his creative thinking combining perfectly. "Krell breaking through Sector 7, someone shouted. "Human Squadron 4 intercept," Jake ordered. "Valkyrie Cruiser Dawn's Light, support them." "On it," both commanders replied. Hours passed. The battle was brutal. Ships on both sides were destroyed. Good people died. But the defense held, and the evacuation continued. Then the censors picked up something new. A massive Krell warship was approaching. It was twice the size of anything they had seen before. "That's Warlord Krax's flagship," Admiral Theron said with worry in his voice. "The Destroyer of Worlds." "Dramatic name," Jake muttered. "He's earned it," the Admiral replied. "That ship has destroyed 100 worlds." Liara pulled up the ship's specifications. Her face went pale. "Its weapons could destroy this entire station with a single blast, and it has shields that can withstand anything we have." "There has to be a way to stop it," Jake said. "There isn't," Liara said softly. "We need to evacuate now. Get as many people out as we can." "No." Jake studied the enemy ship carefully. "There's always a way." "Jake, sometimes retreat is the smart choice." "Not when millions of lives are at stake." He kept studying the ship. Then he saw it. A small weakness. The ship was huge and powerful, but that size made it slow, and all that power needed massive amounts of energy. "If we could overload their power core," Jake said slowly. "Impossible," Admiral Theron said. "You would need to get inside their shields. No ship could survive that." "A ship couldn't," Jake agreed, "but a small fighter might, if it was fast enough and the pilot was crazy enough." Everyone on the bridge went quiet. They knew what he was suggesting. "No," Liara said firmly, "absolutely not. It's the only way." "Then we find another way." Jake looked at her. "Liara, you know this is our best chance." "Our chance? This isn't about us. This is about you flying a suicide mission." Her voice was shaking. "I won't allow it." "You don't give me orders, remember? We're equals." "Don't use our partnership against me," she said, and there were tears in her silver eyes. "I can't lose you." Jake took her hands. "You won't lose me. I'm the best pilot we have. I can do this." "Then I'm coming with you." "You can't. Someone needs to command the fleet." "Admiral Theron can do that." "Liara!" "We're partners," she said fiercely. "We face danger together. You taught me that. You don't get to throw it away now." Jake wanted to argue, but he saw the determination in her eyes. This woman had changed so much from the cold princess he had first met. She had learned to trust, to care, to connect, and she had chosen to connect with him. "Okay," he said. "Together." They ran to the hangar. The smallest, fastest fighter was ready. It barely had room for 2 people. Jake took the pilot's seat. Liara took weapons and navigation. "This is insane," General Ross said over the comm. "You're both too important to risk." "We're exactly important enough to risk," Jake replied. "Everyone else is risking their lives." "Why should we be different?" The fighter launched. Jake flew like he had never flown before. The Krell fleet tried to stop them, but they were too fast, too unpredictable. Liara shot down enemy fighters while calling out obstacles. "Debris field ahead," she said. "I see it." Jake flew through the floating wreckage, using it as cover. They reached the massive enemy flagship. Its shields rippled around it like a wall of energy. Jake found the smallest gap, the tiny moment when the shields recycled. "This is going to be close," he said. "I trust you," Liara said. Jake smiled and pushed the fighter to its limits. They shot through the gap with inches to spare. Alarms screamed. The fighters' shields were failing from the strain. They were inside the enemy ship's defenses now. Warlord Krax's voice boomed over their comm. "So the human and his princess come to die. How noble. How stupid." "Keep talking," Jake muttered. He was looking for the right spot. "There," Liara pointed. "That's the main reactor port." Jake brought the fighter around. They were taking fire from the flagship's point defense systems. The fighter shook and sparked. "Shields gone," Liara reported calmly. "Weapon systems offline," Jake added. "Jake, we can't make it back out." "I know." He looked at her. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, I chose this. She took his hand. If we die together. Actually, Jake said, I have one more crazy idea. He told her. Her eyes went wide. That's impossible. Everything we've done was impossible. Liara laughed. It was a wild, free sound. Then let's do one more impossible thing. They flew straight at the reactor port. The Krell tried to stop them, but they were too close now. Jake launched every missile they had left, then ejected the fighter's entire power core. All of it went into the reactor port. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the enemy flagship's reactor began to overload. Explosions rippled through the massive ship. Warlord Krax screamed in fury. Jake grabbed Liara and hit the emergency escape. They shot out of the fighter in an escape pod just as their ship exploded. The shockwave threw them away from the flagship. Behind them, the destroyer of worlds tore itself apart. The massive ship exploded in a fireball that lit up space like a new sun. The Krell fleet, seeing their leader's ship destroyed, broke and ran. The battle was over. The escape pod drifted in space. It was damaged and losing air. Jake held Liara close as they waited for rescue. I thought we were going to die, she whispered. So did I, Jake admitted. I'm glad we didn't. Me too. Rescue ships found them 20 minutes later. When they got back to Sanctuary Station, thousands of people were cheering. Humans, Velkari, and dozens of other species celebrated together. Empress Vara was waiting for them. She looked at Jake and Liara, both battered and exhausted, and shook her head. You are both completely insane, she said. Then she smiled. And I could not be more proud. In the days after the battle, everything changed. The Krell sued for peace. Other species, seeing what cooperation could achieve, opened formal relations with humanity. The galaxy would never be the same. Jake stood in a beautiful garden on the Velkari homeworld. His sister Amy was there, along with his friend Ben Carter and others from Earth. They had come for the ceremony. Liara walked toward him, wearing a dress that seemed made of starlight. She smiled, and it took his breath away. They were getting married, a human and a Velkari. It would have been unthinkable a year ago. Now it felt like the most natural thing in the world. Are you sure about this? Liara asked quietly. About marrying you? Absolutely. About splitting time between Earth and my homeworld? About sharing our lives between two very different cultures? Jake took her hands. I'm sure about being with you. Everything else we'll figure out together. Together, she repeated. I like that word. Me too. The ceremony was beautiful, blending human and Velkari traditions. Jake's vows were simple and honest. Liara's were elegant and heartfelt. When they kissed, thousands of people cheered. Human and alien voices mixed together in celebration. Later, at the reception, Empress Vara approached Jake. You've changed my daughter, she said. She was always strong but cold. Now she's still strong but warm. She cares about people, not just power. She changed me too, Jake said. I was just a soldier. Now I'm part of something bigger. The galaxy is better for it. The Empress smiled. When you saved her that day, you saved more than her life. You saved her heart. That night, Jake and Liara stood on a balcony overlooking the Velkari capital. The city glowed with lights that looked like captured stars. Do you ever regret it? Liara asked. Accepting the bond? Your life got so much more complicated. Jake pulled her close. My life got richer, more meaningful. I found my partner, my equal, my love. How could I regret that? The alien princess who blinked in surprise when you didn't want power, Liara said softly. The human who learned that the greatest power is having someone to share your life with, Jake replied. They kissed as the stars shone above them. Two people from different worlds, different cultures, different lives. But they had found each other, and in doing so, they had helped change the galaxy. The war was over, the peace was just beginning, and Jake and Liara would face it together, as partners, as equals, as one.